The truth is, I want to tell you something complex, but that's not me. I want to tell you about myself, but I just got better at that, and I wouldn't know where to start. In Trinidad, in the Bronx, in a public school classroom with 30 of my peers, when I struggle with locating myself, I find that jumping in is the best way to start. So the heart of the matter is that I work in a school. And I work there because I was a terror of a student who didn't know how to be anything but scarier than the things I was afraid of. And I have the scars to prove it. I was just two fists afraid of the silence that comes after a fight. Two punchlines afraid of the gravity of a situation. A kid who had just lost a father and was afraid of closing their eyes and losing my other parent, because that's what happened the first time. I know firsthand the mess we can make of ourselves. I'm an educator because I remember that my 5th grade teacher once said he couldn't wait to read my book, and I've been working towards a book ever since. It matters. Sometimes it's more complicated than that, but oftentimes it's not. I owe being on stage to every teenager I've ever worked with. All of the ones who told me about how they were scared, they were invisible or unlovable in so many ways, whether it was needing support during the college process or asking why no one would date them or asking why they got points off on a question that said, "Prove this is a square." And they said, "Because you said so." You can't do this work without being realistic. You can't fix every problem or reach every kid. The universe knows that I probably have a losing record at the amount of students I've successfully cared for compared to the amount of students that I interact with from school to school is probably something like Shaq's free throw percentage. Sorry to Shaq. Or Ben Simmons' 3-point shooting percentage. Sorry to Ben Simmons. But every kid counts. I get asked how I do this work. You know, on days I come home exhausted from going in with nothing but optimism and coming out with nothing but roadblocks. How could I allow my heart to be broken so many times? Yeah, it's hard to work in a school. Every failure feels personal, feels as if I should have known better, should have made sure other options were available, should have asked more questions, should have pushed back more, but every success. When I'm asked how I make it through, I reply that one time I tried to work with a student who asked very blatantly if I didn't have personal business to mind. If I let that hurt my feelings, I wouldn't get to the point where I was one of the first people he notified when he got into Emory. The hard part about working with students is the rewarding part. That you give everything you can, and at some point they realize that they are worth it. Ideally, some point along that way, you realize you're worth it too. This isn't a propaganda speech for all of you to become educators. Education is a calling, and it is not for the faint of heart. It's actually just me explaining all of the most important things I've learned from working with teenagers. I look at you and can't help but think of my students. Some of you are their age and some of you aren't, but still remind me of them because you have a degree in your hand, a goal you've just completed for yourself or for someone else, and choices to make. I pass you the advice that I've given years of high school students, which is twofold. One, don't let anyone draw the boundaries of your universe. We are all here for a bunch of people who can make it and some who couldn't. I now have 2 degrees so that every room I'm in, I get to introduce my mother, either because she's there or because I wouldn't have made it there without her. I get to imagine all of the rooms that she has yet to enter. I love working with students because they have the audacity to imagine universes where fair means something. Where a family dinner means everyone eats before anyone gets seconds, even if that family member only shows up when the food comes. I owe every teenager who explained to me that being better was just a commitment to holding my morals, even when it was hard. I owe every teacher who could see a universe in which I was something more than the product of a teen pregnancy in a neighborhood where it was all too common. I am from the Bronx, where Kathy Hochul says that there are kids who can't even spell the word computer, but look at me making a commencement speech. Which brings me to my second point. We owe things to people. Not in the soul-crushing, I have to choose a path that doesn't include my happiness kind of way, because I have done that. And I'm here to tell you it is a journey you do not survive with all of the parts you like about yourself still intact. But we owe each other things in the way that Gwendolyn Brooks knew. We are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. I can love and be as passionate as I am because my mother created universes she'd never actually seen before. My mother came from a strict Catholic family with not a lot of space to be emotional. I can count maybe on 2 hands the amount of times I've seen my mother cry, but she would need a lot more hands than that to count the amount of times that I have. My mother came from love that looked like surveillance, but she has let me and my brother build universes that she couldn't even fathom and just trusted us to leave doors open so she could visit. I owe my mother for the teenager she was when she had me and the life experience she gave up when she decided to be known as my mother before she was known as anything else. I also owe my friends. I owe the friend who, when I was fired, said, "We're getting you a job because you can be sad, but you can't be sad and broke." I owe the friend who, after I had a breakup that turned me into a house of cards, said, "You want to grab food and blow bubbles?" I owe my friend who told me, "You're my favorite poet," and who supported me through my first poetry slam and countless others. We owe each other communities of care, and sometimes that means inconvenience. We're all we have. In a universe dedicated to stripping people of things they assume to be their own, we have an obligation not to abandon each other. I don't know you all, but I owe you for the patience you've had to listen to this. And I owe you something worthwhile. So, here is my TLDR. If you have an opportunity to give a damn about anything, give it a try. And if you don't know what to do with your degree or degrees, find someone or something to give a damn about and stick to it for a bit. Extra points if that someone or something is you. Thank you.